Alright, let's get started. Good morning, everybody. It's Diego Dandy in the Bronx. It is 9:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the Boogie Down Bronx. And you must be wondering, what the heck is an engagement group? Okay, Google, stop the music. I was hoping actually to use the background Google music, but I'll experiment with that later. Engagement group. What is an engagement group? Basically, it's basically having a group of people that join together in a chat group, like in an Instagram DM most typically, or in a Telegram, or in any app, honestly. Just a group of influencers. And the gimmick is, whenever someone posts something, they share their post within that group, and the idea is everyone is bound by the rule that they have to like and engage whatever post shows up on that list. Now, I started Instagramming in 2014, and I wasn't really familiar with engagement groups until maybe like a year afterwards or so. I think I was invited to my first engagement group. I forgot where it was, but I was invited to my first engagement group, and I was like, oh, this is a cool way to, because basically people joined engagement groups was to cheat the system, basically. The idea back in the day at least was that within the first 5 minutes or something within an Instagram post, if it gets a certain amount of engagement, whether it be likes, comments, or whatever, it will, then in that case, Instagram will be like, oh, this post is actually good. I'm going to show it to more people. And I think that's similar to how Facebook works. I'm not sure if it still works that way, but that was the gimmick with Instagram. So the idea was, I join a group, I get a shock of instant likes and comments really fast. Therefore, my comment will be shown to more people, and therefore more people see my content, therefore I'll get more followers, more likes, therefore I will grow as an influencer. Now, some of these ideas have went crazy, the engagement group ideas. I'm guilty of being in engagement groups of many, many sizes. In the beginning, it was literally a random group of influencers. A random group of influencers. So literally it'd be food bloggers, mommy bloggers. Back then, it wasn't really it was just literally random influencers. Then eventually, it became, okay, we gotta find our niche. We gotta find people in our same power level that to engage with, because this is better for the algorithm. Then eventually, some of them became even more bigger and greater. I've been in Telegram engagement groups way back when, where there'd be literally hundreds, thousands of people in there, all over the world. And some of these people even have these engagement groups to be automated for them. There's people who have automated engagement groups. And people are saying, is this worth it? Is this good? Obviously, the short answer is yes. It's not, well, the short answer is bad. That's what I was trying to mean. The short answer is it's not a good thing. And even if you're, and I've heard some people try to defend engagement groups saying, oh no, my group, it's almost like a networking group. We share only authentic comments with each other. Sure, everyone has a group of friends, a group of influencer friends, and they all try to hype each other up. 100%, that's fine. But if you're trying to do a real engagement group, it honestly, it hurts you in the long run, because then those are not quote unquote real people commenting and liking on your post. Especially if you have like a big engagement group of like 10 plus. Like, you know, if you have a group chat with you and 5 of your blogger friends and you hype each other up, all right, fine, that's fine and dandy. That's completely understandable. It's like when you go crazy and you have like a 10, 15, 20 plus engagement group. And even if you're like, oh, it's in my niche, it's, you know, we're all on the same, you know, amount of followers and stuff. Like, you gotta figure out what's your goal with your Instagram account. That's the big issue. Like, are you just trying to get numbers? Like, are you just trying to get, you know, raise your average likes or whatever? Because here's the thing. If you're trying to like work with brands, trying to make it, quote unquote make it, those things won't help you because PR people, I want to assume, and brands, they're a little bit smarter nowadays. I've definitely been at a social media agency. I've been to one of their events, and they were talking about engagement groups, and what they were doing is when they run their like search queries on influencers, because here, by the way, any high-level social media agency who works with influencers, they have proprietary software that literally tells you, like, spits out all this information about an influencer, engagement rates, likes, where they're coming from, you know, countries, like, and data about your audience. Especially if it's the type of agency that you have to connect your Facebook/Instagram into the account. Even more so, they have that information. And the agency was like, we just don't count anyone with over 1,000 followers in the comments, which makes perfect sense. Because at the end of the day, those people, like, fellow influencers, we don't count when those numbers are happening. Like, me, here's the thing. Especially when I'm commenting on my, like, my girl blogger friends, like, I'm showing support, but my commenting, like, literally means nothing. Because it doesn't help them. Because I'm not the target audience. I'm not gonna buy whatever they're doing. I'm just sending some love, of course. But that doesn't do anything for them, per se. Literally a vanity number. So, we're rising. So, like, even if your engagement group is like, all right, we're all guys, we're all streetwear guys, we're all between 20 and 50K, and all the comments we're leaving are 4 or more words and no emojis. You know, remember that BS, by the way, where people in those engagement groups, and I'm sure all of you you've been in this situation, like, drop a comment, you have to use 3 or more words, emojis don't count. Like, remember that time? Especially if you were in the early day engagement group game. By the way, it doesn't matter. Like, any comment is a good comment. I don't care if you drop an emoji, who cares? But even if it's hyper niche, hyper focused, like, first of all, you gotta think about who else is in that engagement group. I've been in menswear engagement groups where a majority of those people are just repost accounts. So, like, repost accounts literally means, those repost accounts literally don't add any value, if that makes any sense. Like, at least another influencer leaving a comment is a real person, but a repost group is literally not a real person. Well, I know obviously there's a person behind the account, but, like, in terms of a PR person who's looking at your account to see, okay, who's engaging with this person's comments, who's engaging in the comments, and it's some random fashion repost account. If anyone's winning here, it's the fashion repost account. They're definitely taking advantage of you by having your comments on their comments on their page. Because you know how repost accounts make money? They sell shout-outs to other influencers. It's an infinite loop of money. So I don't think it's a good idea to be in an engagement group like that. Because honestly, if you're just if you want to get those comments, think of incentives to get people to actually leave a comment as soon as you post. So my biggest gimmick on my page is I always give a shout out to a person who leaves the first comment. So, and I make a big deal about it. Like, who can leave the first comment? They get a shout out. I've been doing it for years. And people love it when they actually get it. Because right now there's maybe 2 or 3 people that are super duper hardcore about trying to leave the first comment on my page. So now everyone's just trying to beat those guys. So whenever someone else, other than those guys who get the first comment, they're like, oh, they're so excited about it. They feel like they've won something. So I kind of created my own pseudo engagement group, honestly. You should build an engagement group within your own community. Your people who are watching, reading you, those people should be your engagement group. Yes, it is good to have other influencers there, of course, to support you, but those aren't sales. Those aren't click-through rates. Those aren't the things that brands want. Unless you're selling, of course. Unless you're, of course, you're a social media coach or something like that, then that makes perfect sense, obviously, because that is your audience. Because if you're a business-to-business person, then obviously that makes more sense, because you are trying to target influencers, business people, social media coaches, entrepreneurs, that stuff. But if you are a makeup blogger, or for me, a menswear, classic suits blogger, me having, and look, and obviously I'm not throwing shade at my fellow menswear blogger friends, but if a menswear blogger friend of mine drops a comment and he's like, yo, that suit is amazing, technically that's worth less than someone who's on private saying, oh, Diego, that's a cool suit, if that makes sense. Because the person on private is a potential click-through rate, a potential conversion, what the brands actually want to be targeting. So my key thing here is when you're trying to figure out ways to grow your audience in a basically cheating manner, at the end of the day, these are hacks or nefarious techniques per se on how to grow. Think about who you're trying. What's the purpose of it? What are you trying to even do in the first place? Are you just doing this for fun to get free stuff from brands? Then do it, 100%. A lot of brands in the year 2021, the year of our Lord, still have no idea how influencer marketing works still. And this is an old thing, influencer marketing, in my opinion at least. So you need to think about those goals, about what do you plan on doing with your account. Are you going to eventually sell a product? Are you going to sell a workshop or something? Having other influencers chime in, obviously it's not a bad thing per se, but you got to think about who do you want actually targeting there. Like I said, if your clients are other influencers, if you are selling workshops, selling social media tips, then that makes more sense to me to have other influencers engage in your content But if you're doing something like streetwear, just photography and stuff like that, I don't think it's having other influencers in your niche, at least. Like, it's not as valuable, especially if you're trying to sell yourself to brands. So, and I know some people are saying like, oh, you can get shadow banned or whatever. You know, some people don't believe in shadow banning and stuff. Here's the thing. The algorithm isn't run by like a human being, by the way. The AI is literally a computer. Someone developed the code, they put the AI out there, and basically it's hopes and dreams. So if the AI detects something weird, maybe it will not show your stuff to more people or something like that. And at the end of the day, also, Instagram is pay to play. They want you to buy ads. They want you to spend money on their platform. So the key thing is, at the end of the day, is you got to figure out why do you even need this? Like, if you just, by the way, I'm not going to lie, I was in engagement groups, and I have made some friends in those engagement groups. But also, when I was actually working at, I worked at a food startup for a while, and I did do some freelance influencer marketing stuff for other brands. So being on both sides of it, I was able to see a different thing. So when I was on the other side, looking for influencers, I'm not gonna lie, I saw some of my fellow influencers in these like hardcore Telegram groups, and I had to pass them over because I knew that their engagement wasn't real. Like, the only thing that would change my mind is if the content was good, obviously. Like, it would disappoint me that they were using it, but hey, the video is good, the content is good, you know, they get a pass here. But it sucks when, it's gonna suck when you not only don't have content that's there yet, but also are in an engagement group that's not a good look. Because then the brand will be like, yo, like, the only people commenting on this are other influencers. That's wild sus, you know? So you gotta think about it that way. What's your goal? Who are you trying to target here? And if this is literally just for fun, then who cares at the end of the day, obviously. If you're just being, if you're doing, quote unquote, being an influencer just for literal fun, then just keep doing it. Like, who cares at the end of the day? Who cares about the algorithm? Who cares about any of all this? But if you do aim on being a brand, being an entity, selling yourself, selling your social media, I don't think engagement groups necessarily would help you in that aspect, honestly. But yeah. Oof. I was doing arms during that. Well, this is pretty cool, honestly. Let's see. I wonder how the recording on this actually works. Let's see. Well, I definitely recorded this. I have my iPad on the side recording my actual voice. So I'm definitely gonna upload this somewhere. The only reason I brought this up, the only reason I'm having this conversation in the first place is that a fellow content creator who follows me reached out to me, and they were like, hey, Dandy in the Bronx, well, how do you feel about engagement groups? What's your stance on them? And of course, whenever someone says they're an engagement group, they try to like double back on it, saying it's like, oh, it's not so bad, you know, we leave authentic comments. It's more like a networking group now. It's like, honestly, like, no matter how you spin it, it's an engagement group. Like, you know why you're there. You want those extra likes and comments. And the weird part is when I went to his account to see like his like comments and likes and stuff, it was weird because now I just saw other influencers. Like, I think the issue is with anything, you could probably do engagement groups and do it quote unquote right. Like, first of all, if you're gonna have an engagement group, at least make sure everyone's on the same niche. If you're like, by the way, here's the thing, most important as well. You gotta figure out your niche. You gotta figure out your gimmick. You gotta figure out your like hyper specific thing that you are gonna be an expert in. Like, and by the way, this is my friend now that I'm gonna be talking about, and I want to help you out, my friend. I'm not dropping names, of course. I'm not gonna be doing any of that. But when I look at your page, I really can't tell specifically like what your gimmick is. Like, what are you even talking about in the first place? So like, I think that's one of my big issues. Like, and then having like a random group of influencers also leave comments on your page as well. Like, I think that's a big red flag, honestly. Let me check here, share. That's a big red flag for me. Because like I look at the account and it doesn't, I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what your like, what are you trying to do with your social media? Like I said, if you're just doing this for fun and want to get free products and just make random content here, they're completely understandable, 100% valid. You do you, and I can't challenge that, honestly. But if you want to like, I want to make content, I want to reach an audience, I have a topic that I have a burning desire to talk about, then you do it, my friend. But I think based on, when I see your account, I just see a lot of random stuff, honestly. So my first suggestion would be, you need to figure out what that specific niche is, whether it be streetwear, home decor, I don't know, candy reviewer. Like, you need to pick a specific niche and just do that, basically, that specific niche. So once you figure that out, then you start attracting like-minded individuals, the people who also would believe in that. Like, then you would find other candy influencers or whatever, you know what I mean? And then you can hype each other up that way. I think that makes more sense. And then you can say like, oh, this is a networking group, whatever, because we all have those type of groups, 100%. But at least those are on the same niche. You're all doing, and it doesn't look as sus as like having an account and then you have like random influencers leaving comments on your page. Because like any PR person or person who's like checking this out, they'd be like, yo, that's I don't know where these comments are coming from. Like what are you offering the brand? Like, what they wouldn't be gaining anything from collaborating. You gotta think about what they need too. Like, the brands, they need eyeballs, they need clicks, they need shareable content. And if all your engagement is just coming from other influencers, that's just not real comments or anything. Those are not real. Because I'm leaving comments, I'm gonna go to your page, I'm gonna leave comments, I'm saying, yo, that looks super cool. But I'm not gonna buy this, I'm not gonna click on this. I'm gonna click on it though to help your analytics. Like, I got you, don't worry. I'm clicking on your clicks, but that doesn't help you. You need to hyper focus on what you're talking about, what your niche is, so that you start attracting people who are into that. You're a makeup person, you're a sports person, you're a whatever person. Like, have that in your profile too. But like, I still don't know like what your niche is, the gimmick is. So then once you figure that out, then you could start like, hey, then just start by just naturally trying to attract people into your page. Like, I'm no longer in any engagement groups right now. I just have my Instagram friends, and naturally we just like and comment on each other, you know? As it should be. I think that should be the more realistic take, so no one's forced to do anything. Like, your goal should be just to get people to naturally like and comment on your stuff, because they actually like your stuff, you know, like, as opposed to an engagement group where everyone's forced to say something nice. That sucks, to be forced to do that, honestly. So, figure out your niche, then you start commenting on other people's stuff. Like, at the end of the day, you want to make an engagement group, but of not average, that's the wrong word to say, everyday people, basically. That's your engagement group. You want everyday people. You want your own personal community engagement group. Like, isn't that what the goal is? Like, there's nothing wrong with an engagement group if it's your own community, if it's your own followers and fans or whatever. That's the whole goal. You need to be working on that, building up those like-minded individuals. Because, and then in the beginning, like, you might think like, oh, I need that extra jolt from an engagement group, from other influencers to get my content to be seen. You know, at the end of the day, like, you're just gonna make good content. Like, at the end of the day, you can do whatever hack in the multiverse you want, but if you don't have good content, then who cares? No amount of engagement groups is gonna help you on that, you know? I've seen a lot of crappy photos that have 1,000 likes on it, you know? So, like, that doesn't matter. I think that also comes back to, like, what you're trying to do. Like, I'm trying to, for Dandy in the Bronx, I want to make more sponsored content with brands that align with my values. I want to make more content in the Bronx to represent small businesses. I love talking about sustainable fashion, vintage, thrifting, menswear, stuff like that. So all the content I'm doing is to aim to attract those type of things. Like, you just can't, your gimmick can't just be like photography. What kind of photography? You know, your gimmick just can't be fashion. What kind of fashion? Your gimmick just can't be menswear. What kind of menswear? So it's better to double down on those things first, so then you can start attracting people into your page. Because if you don't, then, like, why should people follow you in the first place, right? Like, what's the purpose? Oh my goodness. 17 minutes left of this. Oops, someone shared my story. Nice. In the beginning, I want to definitely think it was a hack. Everyone and their mom was in an engagement group. I remember there was like a Facebook group that had a whole like platform that you can like fill in your information to help you find other people to fill in your engagement group. I bought a guide way back when. I think it was like $15 on like how to do engagement groups, basically. Like I said, I'm not gonna try to fake it. Like I definitely have done engagement groups. I've done many of those social media hacks back then. I'm happy to chat more about them down the line. But I definitely remember being in the engagement groups with people that just were not on brand with me. Like, to be honest with you, I would never care about their content at all. But I had to because they were in my engagement groups. So of course, you know, I was commenting, I followed, I tried to say something nice every time when I can, because they were doing the same thing for me. So if you do feel like you need an engagement group, you need to reevaluate like what's your goals on social media, like what's your purpose, the engagement group you want is eventually just your own followers or from other influencers, content creators or whatever that actually care about your content. Like, that's way better at the end of the day than a group of people. Like I had in my engagement group way back when, I had like a guy who did streetwear in like Europe somewhere. I had a Scandinavian person, someone in Argentina. I had like a girl blogger who was like doing charity work somewhere. Like this guy blogger who like did cars. And I don't care about any, well, I care about charity, but I didn't care about any of those things. Like they weren't my niche. Like actually in that group I remember the most of, there was no suits people like me. And I even tried making my own engagement groups. Like I was like, hey, let's make an engagement group, and I tried to find other menswear people. And this was like in the beginning when it was like still the wild west of engagement groups. The jury was still out there whether or not you would get shadow banned or whatever from doing this. But I don't think in the year 2021, the year of our Lord, it's a good idea to be in an engagement group. What's your gimmick? Why are you in social media in the first place? Like, why are you even doing this? Like, that's the key thing. And if your goal is to like do sponsorships, work with brands, like what are you offering to them? Because if half your comments and likes are from an engagement group, then you're literally cheating these brands. As messed up as it is, like obviously, who cares about brand? No, but like you're literally cheating them, and that's not a good look. You're literally lying to them with your stats, and then when you do content for them, and then when it like gets 0 clicks and not as many impressions as you hoped for, you're never gonna work with those people again, and that's not gonna look good for you. Like, and here's the thing, engagement and impressions and reach, that's literally not the end-all be-all. Like, sell yourself for other things perhaps. Maybe you have other talents, like photography, videography, being a model. Like, a brand may reach out to you and be like, hey, we want to send you a watch to promote on your social media. And you can be straight up and say, hey, I'm not in the promotion business. I make content. I'm a photographer. I'm a model. I can make content for you. I can sell you content that you can use for your own social media or whatever. But I'm not selling my platform as a Google ad space, basically. Because these brands at the end of the day they work with influencers because they're looking for ad space, impressions, eyeballs. And sometimes they feel like they can get it cheap because we're influencers, and some influencers are willing to take just free product, and that's them posting about your product. An influencer posting about a product for free is, way better than spending X amount of money on Google, technically. And then sometimes they might get, decent content out of it. So don't be afraid to be like, hey, look, thanks for reaching out, but I'm happy to take free product, but I'm not gonna make any content for it. There's no guarantee I'm gonna post about this. If you're looking for photography or a model or something, sell that to the brands. By the way, actually doing this Peloton while talking, I think is better because I remember to breathe. It's a big thing I've realized that when I'm doing this, I don't breathe. So, good for me, honestly. So don't feel like you need an engagement group. It's like, oh man, if I don't have an engagement group, I'm not gonna get comments and likes. I won't be able to sell myself to brands. Like, you find your niche first. Find the people that actually care about your stuff, or you can sell other things. Like, I'll have a brand reach out to me and be like, hey, we want to give you this bracelet. in exchange for a post. Like, first of all, those bracelets that they were trying to get me to make content for, they were like $500 bracelets, or like expensive bracelets. I guarantee nobody in my audience cares about that type of stuff. Literally nobody. Do I want that bracelet? No, and it looked kind of gaudy, honestly. I did not really care about the bracelets. But I can still offer them a service. I can be an arm model for them. I can write a blog post for them. I can do photography for them. I can sell them on those things. And if they don't need that, then fine. I'm not gonna waste my time promoting something I don't care about. And y'all shouldn't either. Like, even if you're trying to build up your content resume, at least try to stay on brand with what you're trying to work with. Like, if I see, like, you should, I know it sounds lame, but you need to, when you're first starting, you need to stick to one lane. You need to stick to one gimmick, because that's what Instagram likes. Instagram does not like you talking about other things. Instagram needs you to be only talking about one thing, whether it be fashion, sustainability, food, whatever. Like, it needs to stick you into one thing so it's able to recommend you to other people. If you are talking about 400 different things at once, like, who the heck is Instagram going to recommend you to? That's why it's important to niche down. Are you streetwear? Are you expert at lounging? Are you only gonna show pictures of hats? I don't know. Like, what do you care about? What are you passionate about? What do you love? And I think that's an important thing, as opposed to like being in an engagement group. Especially if your engagement group is just people that are just like content that you don't really care about. Like, if you want to be friends with those people, if you found an engagement group and you ended up actually liking those people in that group, amazing. 10 out of 10. I am jealous of you. That's amazing. But it shouldn't be like okay, I'm gonna post that this time. Everyone, you better like and comment on this. Or, oh my God, I remember the drama in engagement groups. The drama, oh my goodness. It'll be like, so-and-so posted, but they didn't like my comment. You didn't comment on this. Oh, that was the best. I always kept on top of my engagement groups. I always made sure if everything was, liked and commented on before I posted my picture back then. Oh man. Or the ones that are like, your comment kind of sucked. Your comment wasn't very authentic. Look, first of all, you're an engagement group. Technically, none of these comments are authentic, all right? So, like, that shouldn't even matter in the first place. So, you need to not, like, yeah, if you're already in an engagement group and you actually like the people, do it and stay there. Do your thing. But the key thing is, you need to build up your actual community and have them be your engagement group. Like, that's the most important thing. And if you're not able to do that, then you need to work on that. Like, I don't want to say you're not being an influencer content creator. Like, that's the key thing. But here's another thing as well. Depending on your goals, maybe you don't even need a community. You don't even need the people, technically. Especially if you're just trying to get commercial work or whatever, right? Obviously, it's nice to get affirmation or like getting feedback. Like, hey, I love getting likes too and comments too, I'm not gonna lie. I love that part. I love being able to engage with my community, talking to people, but sometimes for other people, that might not be the goal. Maybe you're a real estate photographer trying to find clients. So you need to find those real estate people on social media. You need to like do some research. No amount of engagement group is ever gonna help you out if you're like something like that, very specific. What's your goals? What's your hopes and dreams? Why are you using these techniques to get extra likes and extra comments? That's the most important thing. Engagement groups. Are they a hack or they're trash? In my opinion, it's trash. It's hot garbage. If you just come into making friends and you have a group chat where you just talk shit and like talk about social media stuff and stuff like that, that's fine and dandy. I'm in a bunch of those. I'm in like group chats on like iMessage or whatever. Like we just talk. Like it's like, oh man, this brand sent me this stupid offer, and just talking about that. But it's not like, oh, I'm gonna post a post here. Please, everyone, like and comment. I'll follow up with that. Like, you need to figure out incentives to get your own audience, your own community to actually comment. Dropping questions, call to actions. The ones I hate the most in menswear stuff, honestly? The ones that are like, would you wear this? Who gives a fuck? I don't like, or the ones like rate this and look from 1 to 10. It's a fucking 10. I know it's a 10, obviously. But like, what's like I said, what's something else, an easier prompt for other people? Like, for the average consumer, the everyday consumer. I actually heard a really good tip that I saw, like giving multiple choice answers, like a multiple choice question. Like, was this A, B, or C for this comment? It was a really good one. I like that one. I used it. Not everyone plugged it in, but I'm gonna definitely try to use it more to see if it kicks in. But I liked it. For me, like I mentioned before, the first comment, people love doing the first comment thing. Like that has been a good technique for me. I know in YouTube a lot of people do that, like notification squad, like who leaves the first comment, who's in the first couple of seconds of a video, the first person to comment. You need to build that within your community. Build your own personal engagement group with people within your community. Like me commenting, like a fellow influencer commenting is nice, but it's not as valuable as the everyday person who's leaving a comment and liking. Especially if you're trying to show brands that you have, quote unquote, real engagement. So think about that. Okay, in summary, engagement groups is trash. In the beginning, it was a hack, but definitely now, in the year 2021, the year of our Lord, basura. What is your goal with your social media account? Are you just trying to get free stuff? Easy, done. Keep doing engagement groups. It literally does not matter. Who cares? Are you trying to build your own personal community? Is there a specific topic you want to talk about? Are you a finance content creator? Are you a makeup content creator? Niche down. You have to definitely figure out what's that one thing, in the beginning at least, what's that one thing you're talking about? Photography. Okay, what kind of photography? Portraits, weddings, landscapes, cityscapes. Are you a food blogger? Okay, what kind of food? Whole foods, vegan, only hamburgers. Like that's the gimmick. And then you find other everyday people who like that type of stuff. If you're just talking about everything, like why should I follow you in the first place? Like I'm not on Instagram, I'm not here to consume everyday type of content. I'm here, like for me personally, I'm really into right now more menswear. Seeing what my friends are doing, my friends, especially now because of the pandemic. Video game memes, Pokemon memes, Animal Crossing memes, video game computer desks, I like seeing desks now. I'm into looking at desks. And if it doesn't fit those things, then I'm gonna mute it or I'm gonna unfollow. There's a lot of menswear blogger friends of mine that some of them have pivoted, or some of them have like really switched up what they're talking about, and it's just no longer what I'm all about anymore. And that's completely fine and valid. You know, tastes change, ideologies change. Well, hopefully ideologies don't change too crazily, but you need to figure out what's that ideal person you want to be following you. Who do you want to be following you? Who's that character? Create, and I know brands do this a lot, they create like a mock-up of like their ideal consumer. Who's your ideal follower? Who do you want to be following you? Actually, you could put that in your profile. Like, what's your dream, for example, let's make something up. You make up, your account is like, for the casual guy who wants to dress smart. That sounds generic as hell, but like, that could be your gimmick. All right, 45 minutes with Cody Rigsby. But what is your ideal person? If you're a finance, for example, I know I've seen for some accounts to be like, I'm vintage, thrifting, shopping. So all the content is the best thrifting techniques, the best vintage clothing. So that's a very specific niche. If I'm not able to figure out who you are based on your comments and stuff, on your profile, then how do you think a brand's gonna figure that out? How do you think anyone's gonna figure that out? That's the biggest issue, honestly. So, in summary, I think I've said in summary a couple of times already, but yeah, just figure out who do you want following you. If you're in an engagement group right now, audit it. Think about, first of all, would these persons' followers, would they be interested in your stuff? If not, then you're literally wasting your time. If you're still in an engagement group and you still want to do this, I know in the beginning, when I quit engagement groups cold turkey, I definitely, had a drop in engagement. But then again, the engagement I was coming from was just other influencers. No shit, I'm just gonna get a drop in engagement. Obviously. I'd rather have people who are everyday people who are commenting and liking. If you're an engagement group and now you're these are my friends, I love these people, then keep doing it. But you should not feel forced to like and comment. If that's still the social contract that you're in within your group, then honestly I think you should just leave it. It doesn't help you. Or make a subgroup, a sub-engagement group. You know how you've seen the memes probably of you're in a group chat, but there's also another group chat within the group chat that leaves somebody out of the group chat. Who's that person who's out of the group chat? So we got to figure that out. Who maybe you just need to leave and be all right, this is the guy who we don't want in the group chat anyway, so who cares about this person? So you just leave him. Leave him in the dust. I'm trying to find it. I found it. I dropped one of my AirPods. But yeah. Basura. Oh, nice. 1 hour of just BS. Influencer can be a lot of things, If you just want to get free things, just keep going. Just do it. Who cares? But if you're wanting to be
in front of brands and like, then I think you should drop engagement groups, because it doesn't help you. Whether it, like, the idea that also like, oh, you might get shadow banned or whatever, like that doesn't matter, honestly. It's just, all that matters is what do brands think. And if the brands are doing their due diligence and actually looking up what kind of influencer you are, then they wouldn't work with you. Like my friend, the one that asked me the question, like, you know, realistically, I'm not sure if I would be able to recommend you to like certain brands, because first of all, I don't know what your niche is, like what your gimmick is, and your comments are sus. So like that's a big issue. And I'm obviously not trying to like be negative about it, but I'm looking out for you. I want to make sure that you're figuring out what you want to be, what's the story you want to be telling, and you're telling it in the best way possible. Like, I wouldn't be able to recommend you to anybody because I know that I don't know your niche, and I know that the comments are sus. And it's super duper easy. Sometimes I just gotta go through a comments, just go swipe through the likes and be like, all right, that's weird. You know what I mean? Like it's that easy. But sometimes brands don't do that. Or, like I said, a lot of brands use third-party software, or they can just and a lot of them who have the built-in Instagram and Facebook login, they can just instantly see like, where are these people coming from? What's the demographics? What's the stats? And be like, all right, this is suspicious. We're not gonna work with this person. Or the demographics doesn't align with what we're trying to target. We're not gonna work with this person. That's why it's important to hone in. Like, you don't want actually to be accessible to everybody. You don't want that. The more hyper specific you can be, that's the most important thing. You don't want to be for everybody. Like, I don't care about streetwear. I don't care about jeans. I don't care about t-shirts. Like, I'm not trying to target those audiences. I just want to wear suits and play Pokemon. Like, that's who I want to target. Nerds and people who like suits. That's my ultra specific niche. And you should find that as well. So, for you, my buddy, I did record this 1 hour thing, and I'll send it to you. Maybe I'll put it on YouTube or something, whatever. I'm not sure yet. Or maybe an IGTV of some kind. But yeah. This is Diego Dandy in the Bronx. Hopefully this brings you some value down the line. And I hope you all stay dandy, my friends.